Hello, guys. How are we doing this evening? Hopefully, you all had a great weekend. Not always that we get to talk on Friday, but we had a nice beer review on Friday, so it hasn't been so long. Doing great, doing great. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, my weekends are not so much about relaxing, but more so about disconnecting. When you have a job with so much pressure, right? You're putting a lot of money on the line when you're trading, especially when you get to a certain level, right? There are levels to this game for sure. And I'm now at the level where it is more worthwhile for me to use my own capital at all times. And that gets really fucking scary. So just having a second to disconnect from all trading just really, really helps. But it does mean that I am here Sunday with a headache, but part of the game. But hopefully, as I said, you guys all had a chance to do the same, disconnect. It's a truly important part of trading, which for years I used to try hard on the weekends, just as I did the week, just nonstop. And truth is, you'll get burnt down for this. I did not believe that could happen to me, but it did. And it took me like a month to get back into it at 100%. So definitely take some time along the way so you never have to stop or slow down. But yeah, just a little ramble before we get into the weekly outlook. It's going to be pretty straightforward, guys. We just had a huge expansion last week, so I'm going to expect a retracement and have opportunities for continuations. So just as I do with my daily bias, I'm going to frame any move lower as a retracement and any move higher as an expansion. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to have higher targets and I'm going to have retracements targets based on premium and discount for the below objectives. Now, we do not need to retrace all the way down to a discount. This is something that not a lot of people mention, but I feel like is very important to notice. When we are very bullish like this, we are expanding. And let's just say that since that reversal from lower, the whole move that we are looking to catch is this expansion higher. All right. And we think that it's going to go all the way up to these relative equal highs, which is what we've been talking about, right? Which is my plan. Now, are we going to retrace intraday? That's why we have weekly outlooks, right? This is a 2 to 3 month move, right? And we're going to have a lot of moves between them. But what I want to notice for a second here is the implied delay range, which I use quite a bit, don't talk too much about. But once we reach that final quarter, right? That final box, this is just a box divided into quarters. If you want my settings, by the way, this are the settings for all my fibs. Truth is, I just use this, and then I use 1, 2, 2.5, 4, 5, and 8 for my breaker block standard deviations, right? Very straightforward, but I don't know if I shared them before, so I wanted to. But if we are framing this whole move higher, and we separate it into quarters, we understand that once we reach that last part, you want to see speed, right? So if we slow down here and retrace lower, this is where we question the validity of this move. But for now, what I'm going to expect is price to want to draw higher very aggressively. For example, instead of returning all the way to a discount, we could simply retrace lower, take out liquidity from the previous week, right? This is Thursday, I believe. Yeah, Thursday's low. We just had a Friday inside day. We could see some very nice price action to take out this low and then expand right away into a high, right? We have no reason to go back lower. Now, how am I going to decide when it's enough if I don't have a clear objective, right? How am I going to decide? Well, the closer we draw to this gap, the more the more bearish I will be, right? This is a liquidity void. There is nothing there, right? So drawing near this gap would just tell me that this is a very clear objective. For example, if I see the start of the week, take out Thursday's high, right, and expand lower and closes through this level aggressively, well, then I'm going to be a little more bearish. I'm going to look for targets within this fair value gap. Once again, you guys know it. Large gap, I like to split it up into quarters. Look at this as two individual fair value gaps. And it's going to be much more of a bearish week for me than considering going long. But what if we do the opposite? We take out that low, we show support in this area, well, I'll consider longs. Oh, what if we don't show support here and we trade back lower? Well, the idea is still valid, right? So how do you decide if this is good enough or this is good enough? Well, if I get a setup here, I'm taking it. That is what is so powerful with having a clear system. I don't need to think about things like this. I simply need to wait for my system to form in its correct conditions, I guess. So right here, we would have a point of interest, we have narrative, we have a reason to long. Then if a setup forms, I'm going to take that setup. Very straightforward. But we don't have any early week news. We don't have news until Thursday, actually. This, for me, is just a sign that we're going to be a little slower. When that happens, we can usually see an expansion Monday and see us trading within Monday's range to then use it for Wednesday reversal. What I mean by this, form another, well, Monday expands, Tuesday inside day, and then Wednesday reverse to go higher. This would be the best thing I would be looking for, to be honest. But you guys know me. I'm not going to be interested in trading before that news happens. It's a purely psychological rule, all about consistency. But now that I've created these scenarios, well, if I get to Wednesday and now I'm going to be trading the next day and I'm going to revise this analysis. So for example, if we took out previous day high, has started expanding lower, well, Wednesday I might look for a retracement and a continuation lower. But what if we took out Thursday's low and we've been chilling here and we form SMT at those lows? Well, I'll be looking for a high, right? So once again, it's not about knowing what direction it will go. It's knowing at how specifically those moves will be formed. And that is where my biggest edge is in the markets, right? If I can be completely honest, it's not in knowing where it will go, it's knowing how it will get there. And that's how you can trade those moves. If we talk about ES a little bit here, you'll notice that we still have this SMT, but same plan as last week. If we're to go higher, ES is just going to catch up, right? I'm not scared at all from this bearish SMT. I have a very clear grasp on the current trend, which is bullish, right? So whether ES takes 2-3 more days to catch up doesn't really matter to me in this case, right? Unless we form that SMT at a key point of interest. So for example, at the extremities of a range, then I'm going to be interested in daily SMT on NASDAQ. But outside of that, nothing is of any interest in that regard. Sometimes the indices can be what is the word for that? Uncorrelated. I was going to say discorrelated, but no, that's not the same meaning at all. Sorry about that. But yeah, uncorrelated for just a little bit, right? It's the best analogy we can use. It's really ES sometimes has to catch up, and sometimes it's even the other way around where NASDAQ just has to catch up. To be honest, not really too interested in this week until Thursday. So we're going to check back in. Perhaps we can do a midweek analysis. If there's any interest, just let me know, and we'll see once we're closer to that date. But definitely, as you guys know, when we don't have early news in the week, this is something I like to do just so we can have a clear insight. And we're still running 100% win rate on those. I think we're 5 midweek analysis in, so would be pretty cool to keep the streak going. Definitely let me know if you guys want to see this. Do we have any questions, right? I know these outlooks are especially quick, but look at how precise they are, right? Go back into the weeks, and of course, I'm not telling you where it's going. I'm telling you how it will do both moves. And that means that I'm never looking to take the reversal. I'm looking to trade the move after the reversal. Quick but clear. Yes, sir. I mean, people might see this and they're like, oh, what? He did an outlook in 8 minutes and like he was rambling at the start also. Just go look at our track record. That's all I can say, honestly. Let the work just show. But I'm glad to answer questions if you guys have anything, as always. Let's see if it gaps. Yep, that might change a few things. I do have a bot that trades the Sunday open. You guys know it from last week, right? The very beautiful opening gap divergence. Where is it? NWOGs, quarters and midlines, divergence at the quarter. Just forms a beautiful low of week. We've been pretty on point. What is that? Opening prices. Let's look at the monthly open here. Pretty on point with the monthly outlook, right? I don't know if you guys remember, definitely could use a nice refresher, but very, very nice price action to just give us exactly what we needed. I mean, I should do more advertisement of these weekly outlooks because I called exactly what was going to happen here and all of the month before then, and this is something we do consistently. So maybe I should do a little more advertisement, bring some more people in. So this following week would be counter trend to longer term, so in your head are thinking is to skip the week and read the tape. No, I never skip. Because if I skip, I'm bringing a human aspect to it, and I don't want that. I want it to be mechanical, right? So even if we go lower, I don't care if it's counter the 2 to 3 week trend, right? I can still trade that move lower, but I'm going to treat it for what it is, a retracement. So am I going to short and hold until we get here? Fuck no, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to treat it as a retracement and expect that every single array will hold and push price higher. This is how I personally interact with charts. Does that make any sense? Just clearing out the settings real quick. Are weekly outlooks and PA reviews always around this time? I'm going to try to be there live more often. Yes, they are always hosted live. Always. I just record it and put it on YouTube because, I don't know, people are from different time zones and perhaps people want to go back. But yes, always recorded, no editing, right? I just add a little disclaimer at the beginning, switch up the voice a little bit to try and make it sound a little bit clearer. Nothing much there, honestly. But yes, always recorded, but they are also always live. So some people prefer to be here live. I know that a lot of people don't want to be here live, but just watch every single video. No matter what, it's really up to you guys. And no, they're not going anywhere. Yeah, see arrows, sometimes I do them a little earlier. And I've always said if we have some interest from some more European side or just from different time zones, right, I'd be more than happy to switch up the timing of these 100%. Always a pleasure. On that note, I'm going to wish you all the best. If you are trading early on in this week, good luck. If not, we'll see each other later this week for probably a midweek analysis and definitely a few price action reviews. Always going to be available in chat. Tag me if there's anything during the week, guys. If not, have a great night.